Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including leaks of the new performance Model Y that may actually be fake, how you could save $17,500 on a new Tesla vehicle for the next 3 months only, new improvements to the Model 3, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, Tesla is always in the process of building out their supercharger infrastructure. For a long time, this was good for Tesla customers, but now this is good for the EV market as a whole, especially in North America. Tesla vehicles, of course, have access to the supercharger network, along with many other brands' EVs, and more brands are becoming compatible all the time, with many shifting over to Tesla's actual NACS connector for their future vehicles. As of right now, these brands include Ford, GM, Genesis, Hyundai, Kia, Lucid, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, Polestar, Rivian, and Volvo. Tesla superchargers are very reliable, and more chargers are being built all the time. And we're actually seeing Tesla introduce some very large superchargers. As a matter of fact, I was just driving back from Las Vegas after playing a few nights of shows with Seth MacFarlane. I was playing drums and the shows went great, but then on the way back, I of course needed to stop on my way back to Los Angeles, and I ended up at the Barstow Supercharger. This was a massive supercharger that I hadn't been to yet, and Tesla had posted about this back in December, saying Barstow, California, 120 stalls expansion is now open, providing charging capacity for the Los Angeles to Las Vegas corridor. This is currently our largest supercharger in the world. I definitely noticed that this had solar canopies, and it has 495 kilowatts of solar canopies, providing a lot of the energy to these chargers. I also, of course, noticed that these were all V4 superchargers, and there were over 90 available when I got there. So this particular charger will have a large impact for people taking that route. But on top of that, Tesla is in the process of opening up what will soon be their actual largest supercharger in the world. Over in Lost Hills, California, Tesla announced their supercharger project, which is 168 stalls. It has 11 megawatts of solar, has 10 Tesla Megapacks, and was all constructed in 8 months. This charger is now open with 84 stalls open, and what's very cool about this is it operates entirely off the grid. It is solely powered by the sun. I think ultimately this is something that Tesla wants to do, to have solar at all of their superchargers and have them all self-contained without actually having to impact the grid. Here, this is incredibly impressive to see that these Megapacks can provide these charge levels to all of these cars, and that the sun can be providing that energy. Right now, they say the remaining stalls and a lounge are coming later this year, so I'm very excited to go see this supercharger in the near future. Either way, it's incredibly impressive to see all of this charging infrastructure expanding, and I can't wait to see all 168 stalls available at the Lost Hills charger later this year. Next up today, the new products we're expecting to see from Tesla soon all involve the Model Y. There are actually a few different versions of the Model Y in the works, according to rumors and sightings. The first one is a possibly larger version of the Model Y. This would be a longer wheelbase version of this car with 3 rows of seating that are actually comfortable for all of those passengers. And they would go with a 6-seater configuration, so there's that gap in between the 2 seats in the middle row. This has been first rumored to be coming out of China, and we've heard these rumors for months, but people are now saying that this is expected to release in July for the Chinese market, and then come to other markets after that. This is a car that is expected to do quite well for Tesla, since it would allow them to make a larger version of this car for all of the customers that have needed a bigger version of the Model Y, but can't go all the way to something like a Model X. And maybe we're looking for competitors specifically, like the Rivian R1S, the Kia EV9, the Hyundai Ioniq 9, and more cars like that. If Tesla can price this competitively, it could actually help them do very well, selling the Model Y even at a more expensive price than it's currently selling at. If rumors are true, this could be coming in the next few weeks out of China, and then we'll see what the timeline would be like for the United States. Rumors so far have indicated it could be a little bit more of a wait in other markets, since China is a very big focus for Tesla right now. But at the same time, and possibly coming to the US before other markets, is a smaller version of the Model Y. This is another thing that has been rumored for a long time from Tesla. It would be the same wheelbase, but people think that they are spotting a kind of shortened version of this at Tesla's factories out testing. Here was a covered up prototype that was spotted, and it seems that it could be smaller in certain areas like the front and the rear. Diagrams have analyzed how this could actually be smaller, around 10 to 15 centimeters shorter, but a lot of it very well could just be the camera angle. It seems there's this back and forth with every single sighting we're getting of a covered up Model Y. Tesla is covering up something so that we're not seeing it, but some people look at every single photo and point out details to say, here's why it's smaller, while others are saying, no, this is the same Model Y that we have today. This prototype was also spotted in the wild, and this is throwing people off, because Tesla is covering up the rear door handle, and they're not really sure why. They've never really done this before, they've just covered up the back, so some people are thinking this is a two-door shorter version of the Model Y, but really it just seems to have the same overall size. When you compare these cars side by side, they really are the same size, so I don't think that's something they would do, and it really doesn't seem like eliminating two doors would make a lot of sense for Tesla. This does appear to have smaller wheels that they're covering up, so those are possibly a new 18-inch wheel option for the Model Y, and that would make a lot of sense for a cheaper stripped-down version of this car that is the same size that we have today. I do think a smaller version of this car could do quite well, a smaller hatchback from Tesla, but it doesn't really seem like that's actually what we're seeing here. Nothing has been obvious enough to really point out that this is a brand new, smaller version of this car. But what we do know is coming very soon, obviously, is the Performance Model Y. The Performance model has been delayed just like they did with the Model 3, so all of these sightings could simply be versions of the Performance Model Y. This has been spotted multiple times in the wild already, and this first sighting confirmed that there is a new rear diffuser. But now another version of this car has been spotted with much more detail. We can see the front bumper, and this front bumper definitely stands out compared to a normal Model Y. Some may look at this and think this is some sort of aftermarket kit, but this is a very similar design to what Tesla ships now on the Plaid Model S that just came out a couple weeks ago. I checked this car out recently at a Tesla store, and it's quite striking in person and stands out much more than I expected. Those cutouts really make it obvious that this isn't just a stock version of the Model S, it's the Performance Plaid version. So it looks like Tesla is looking to do the same thing with the Model Y Performance. It's a very similar approach to what they took with the Model 3 Performance. That bumper, when you look at it, does stand out as something different than the stock version of that car. Now, this particular angle of the front bumper on this Model Y isn't the most obvious, so Dominic BRN-KMN did a great render based on these sightings. This makes it very obvious that this is a different version of the front bumper. When we put these side by side as well, you can really spot the differences. Yes, this is the same Model Y that we have today, and it will only be a little bit different, but those differences are quite striking and really are in line with the design of what they're now shipping on the Plaid Model S. One possible correction here is that this photo actually seems like it may have been faked. I do think there's a real possibility that this could be what Tesla goes for after launching the Plaid Model S. However, someone found this original high-quality image of the Model Y online, and it has the entirely standard front bumper of the Model Y. So it seems like this updated image that was very low quality was possibly doctored. This is an interesting one because it looked quite possible, and I definitely believed it, and many others believed it. But some are actually a little bit relieved to see that this might not be the front bumper of the Model Y. Based on the other sightings of the Model Y in the wild, out on the street, it seems like the front bumper may stay the same. But which would you prefer? Would you prefer it to stay the same or actually be a design like this possibly faked one? With all of this info in mind though, it does seem like the changes we should expect to the Model Y are potentially some sort of change to the front bumper, but maybe not as extreme as that image we talked about. New performance wheels, new red brake calipers, a more aggressive rear diffuser in the back, performance brakes, about 510 horsepower to match the Model 3, a 0 to 60 in around 3.3 seconds, which is improved from 3.5, an adaptive suspension, and then sport seats inside. Tesla recently showcased these seats on the Performance Model 3, and they're expected to be exactly the same, just transplanted over to the Model Y on risers. Those seats are very comfortable and have bolstered side support and make a lot of sense for a performance car. Then inside there will be carbon fiber accents as well. That all comes alongside a carbon fiber spoiler in the rear. So for the first time, the Model Y will really have some differences that make it stand out from the other versions of this car. Previously, unless you really looked for the wheels or looked for the performance badge on the back, it wasn't that obvious that you were driving a performance version of the Model Y. It kind of looked like the same car, and then when you got inside, it felt exactly the same as well until you actually drove it. So overall, I think these are some great updates to see for the performance version of this car, but what do you think? Leave a comment below to let let me know your thoughts. Soon enough, we could be seeing maybe 3 different versions of the Model Y. The latest rumors are really indicating a stripped-back version of the car in the same size, a 6-seater version with a longer wheelbase coming out of China first, and then of course this performance version coming quite soon here. But I would be a fan if they also gave us a 4th car, some sort of smaller version of this car that could run a little more efficiently and come down even more in price. Now, price is becoming even more important in the next few months, and then especially towards the end of the year and into 2026 for Tesla, because the tax credits in the United States are officially going away. I talked about this in my last video quite a bit, but officially on September 30th, it's the last day to receive the tax credit on an EV purchase. That is the federal EV tax credit of $7,500 off that is available at the point of purchase. Now, it's important to note that it's not just that you need to order your car by then. You must have taken delivery by September 30th in order to receive this credit. This will likely create some demand for Teslas and other EVs in this quarter in particular, because there really is only 3 months left to claim this tax credit. If you are on the fence and that credit really makes a lot of sense for you and you qualify for it, it's probably something you want to act on in the next couple months. On top of that, this bill also ends the used EV tax credit. So if that's something you were looking at for a used EV at a good price and then you were hoping to claim your $4,000 off, you also need to do that, take delivery by September 30th. Come October 1st, all of these discounts are going to be gone from the federal government. But one thing people are starting to recognize with EV purchases right now or for the next couple months is that this bill actually has some incentives for a vehicle purchase, specifically writing off interests on a loan, while at the same time this tax credit is still in place for a couple months. This new bill offers up to $10,000 per year as a tax credit on interest paid for new vehicle loans. This is valid for vehicles under 14,000 pounds that are assembled in the United States, and it applies to purchases from 2025 to 2028. There are certain income requirements and phase-outs that are expected to happen, and this is not available for fleet, commercial, or leased vehicles. But this is something you can stack for the meantime, at least it seems. USA Today details how you can actually combine these 2 different credits if you buy a new EV before September 30th of this year. That means you could save up to $17,500 in the first year if all goes according to plan. $7,500 comes from the previous administration's tax credit that is still in place, and of course you have to qualify and the car has to qualify, and then $10,000 can be written off as an interest credit as well. Now, of course, in order to get to that $17,500 number, it's a pretty specific situation, and you need to be also paying quite a bit of interest on your loan, but interest rates are quite high in the industry right now. So this could be something that for these 3 months saves you a lot of money. Everything is very much in flux right now, but if you were on the fence, it does seem like the next 3 months probably will be a good time. Of course, we do expect that automakers will have to respond and probably lower their prices in order to make up the difference here. But not every company can do that, and it probably is not something that can happen overnight. It's something that will take quite a bit of time. So if you're in the market, I'm not sure waiting will be the best idea, but it does seem like there's these other cars coming to market, like a cheaper version of the Model Y, that may make sense for you as well. It's always tough to time when you want to get a new Tesla vehicle, or a new EV for that matter, but right now is especially interesting to watch. According to USA Today, the average new EV costs about $57,734, which even with the EV tax credit of $7,500 means they cost about $1,500 more than gas cars. But EVs do save you a lot of money in fuel cost, about $5,195 less in 5 years. But what I think will be especially interesting to watch is used EV prices. If new EVs are about to increase in price for a lot of customers by $7,500, used EVs, which will only increase by $4,000, will look a lot more enticing. The situation with EVs and tax credits has been in flux for years at this point, where we always knew that some changes were coming around the corner, and there were changes that Tesla had to make to their vehicle lineup in order to meet certain battery requirements. Now they won't have to do that as much, and it could mean that they can source LFP battery cells for cheaper standard range vehicles from China, and they won't have to worry about them qualifying for any sort of tax credit since it's gone. So for the next 3 months, I think we'll see a lot of customers taking advantage of the ability to stack these 2 deals, where you can write off your interest payments on these high interest rates right now, and then you can take advantage of the EV tax credit. Tesla probably will see an increase in wait times and some increased demand, but then come Q4, things are going to change rapidly. Probably into 2026 is when we'll see the huge changes come to Tesla's lineup, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that comes with different types of batteries from different areas and all sorts of changes like that. Next up today, we have a collection of a number of small updates from Tesla, including their apps, updates to their cars in China, and more. First up, Tesla has introduced a new version of the Robotaxi app. Now, this is an app that is closed and invite only from Tesla at this point, but they are iterating on it pretty quickly here. The updates that we have seen here are that you can now adjust your pickup location, and Nick Cruz-Patain posted a screen recording of what this actually looks like. Basically, you drop your PIN as to where you want to get picked up, and it gives you predetermined pickup locations. This seems really convenient and better than what you get with something like Uber, where sometimes you drop the PIN and then your pickup location is pretty far away. This really allows you to dial it in clearly ahead of your pickup. On top of this, Tesla says display the remaining wait time at pickup in the app and live activity, design improvements, and bug fixes and stability improvements. Potentially one of the best advantages that Tesla will have here is that they can iterate on software quite quickly. So we're already seeing some updates to the Robotaxi app, and before this opens to the general public, it will probably be fairly dialed in. Now, some software improvements that are coming for everyone across the board are for the charging UI in the app. When looking at a Tesla Supercharger, Tesla has now added icons that indicate valet only or pay to park. This is very helpful because it tells you ahead of time if you're navigating to a Supercharger and you actually will have to do something else in order to charge there. This can actually be very annoying if you find out that it's a paid parking lot where you're trying to charge, so now you'll know ahead of time. They also say notifications for pay to park, parking floor, and access code are added, and all details are easily accessible in the site card. This is an update that maybe seems long overdue, but I'm glad to see it come from Tesla. Now, on the pricing side of things, over in Australia, Tesla has a new incentive that gives you $2,000 off the price of a Tesla when trading in a used vehicle. If you're in Australia, this could be a good deal to take advantage of, but Tesla has been known for low trade-in offers in the past, so in some sense, this might be kind of a deal that makes up that difference and puts it more in line with the offers you may get from competitors. Now, out of Tesla's Giga Shanghai factory, they've actually updated the Model 3 and Model Y in a couple ways. They've improved the range and actually improved the speed of the Model 3. So far, these are China-exclusive updates, and we're not sure if these will be coming to other markets anytime soon, but for the long-range version of the made-in-China Model 3, Tesla has improved the 0 to 60 time from 4.4 seconds down to 3.8 seconds. Essentially, this is giving you the acceleration boost at no extra cost. The CLTC range has also increased from 713 kilometers to 753, which is about a 5.6% increase in range. We're not sure if that is just based on testing or actual improvements to the battery. And then all of these changes have actually added about $1,400 to the price. For the Model Y long range, built in China, there's no change to the acceleration, but the range has improved from 719 kilometers to 750 kilometers, which is a 4.3% increase. So far, these updates are exclusive to that market, but we do expect that these might come to Europe and North America soon, unless these are specific to the batteries that Tesla sources in those particular countries. Sometimes that is the case where better or worse performance is actually enabled by the specific battery cells that are being used in these cars in specific markets. So that could be what's going on here, and maybe we won't see them come to the US, but I wouldn't be surprised. They do want to have some reasons for people to upgrade. These are some very minor improvements that Tesla has made here, but they are things that improve the car without them having to entirely rework the cars that they just refreshed. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see all the times that Teslas have been hacked in the past, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.